Afternoon, everybody. As Iggy says, I'm here to talk about, apparently yet again, the human factor. And I'm called layer 8, and it's the nut between the keyboard and the screen. Basically, the thing that goes wrong most of the time in our lives and causes our problems. And if you look at the screen here, we have a lot of nice logos. But if you think about what those logos, they've all been in the press in the past 12 to 18 months. They've all been hacked. And they're all relatively large organizations. And dare I say it, the dreaded APT has been there. Everybody's been hacked by the APT in this scenario. Be it Aurora, be it Night Dragon, even Stuxnet. They've all hit the headlines. But if you look again even further into the root cause, it's not just technical issues that have caused these breaches. These statistics here show us, Verizon now, I've done this slide last week. They have their new data breach investigation report. If you don't read it, you should do. It's some great material in that report. It's free, and you don't have to sign up for any spam or anything else like that. There's some great material in it. But last year's report investigated that 48% of breaches were caused by insiders. Now, they're not saying that 48% of your staff are out hacking your systems. What they're saying is that 48% of your staff, or 48% of the breaches, were due to people being willingly or unwillingly duped into doing something that caused the breach. Symantec say 90% of all malware requires some sort of human interaction. Microsoft even say that 95% of all malware attacks on the Windows platforms will be mitigated if nobody had admin access to their machines. So, in your own organizations, how many of your users have local admin access to their laptops or to their PCs, simply to make things easier? Well, we're making things easier for the users, but we're also making things easier for the bad guys as well. Mandiant, who are, if you're not familiar with them, are a US organization. They provide managed security services. One part of it is in instant response. And their investigations and results, 100% of all APT style attacks root cause have been humans as well. Ernst & Young survey from last year say 64% of all organizations have an issue with security awareness programs. They can't get them right. And 3 times as many breaches are being caused by accidental insider activity than malicious. So what we have here is the common thing, is the human being. It's the user. Okay, we might have 0 days, or for our American friends, O days, but the chances of you being hit by a 0 day or an O day are relatively minute unless you're working in some large multinational or somebody that has a lot of precious information that people want to get their hands on. Most breaches have been by simple patches that have not been applied, and as I said, caused by people who've been doing things. So obviously, as I said, people are the weakest link. And why are they the weakest link? Is it because your fellow workers are stupid? Are they just so dumb they fall for every phishing email that comes in? Or maybe they're just lazy. I couldn't be arsed doing this. Security, it's not my problem. Or they're bloody arrogant. This is my iPad, I'm the boss, you go and get it attached to the network. Or I'm too important to worry about security. That's not my job, that's IT's job. Or it's never going to happen to me. I'm way too intelligent to fall for a scam or click on a link in an email. Don't be ridiculous. Or maybe they just ignore the risks. Yes, I do want to download that piece of software, and I don't care that the certificate is out of date or that it's saying me that this site is unsafe. I'm still going to click on yes. They just try and ignore it, or they just don't care. It's not my PC. It's not my information. It's not my network. It's not my job. I don't care. That's probably the answer we get. But I think mostly people are just too busy. They are focusing on their own day jobs. They're trying to get through what they want to do. They're trying to survive their jobs, trying to survive what's going on. And let's face it, in this environment, surviving is a key thing with the economy the way it is. They've got deadlines to meet, they've got sales figures to get, they've reports to get out. They're just too busy. And if they're working, how many people here work in large organizations? So you all have health and safety awareness training courses, ethics, You know, if you're, you know, if they're accountants, they have to go and do additional professional development courses. If they're solicitors, it's the same thing. So each profession and each area in the company has all these other competing awareness courses that we have to try and go against. So like we've got a lot of things to fight against. And I think a classic example of where awareness is failing is how many people here drive or have driven at least once in their life over the speed limit? How many people here have gone over a solid white line at least once in their driving career? Yeah? Now you don't just show all your hands to this. How many people have driven while having a few beers on you, or a few drinks? Yet we still see all these campaigns and awareness ads on TV, but people still do these things. So people have different drivers and different reasons to do things, and we as professionals and security professionals trying to secure our organizations, we have to try to understand what those drivers are so that we can engage with the users and get them to work on things. Because in security, if you look at where we spend our money, this is from a Gartner report in 2010. Gartner state that, you know, a company with a good, mature information security program, they'd have 10% of the IT budget goes to IT security. Now, of that 10%, a good 37, 38% goes on personnel. That's salaries. That's us. Hey! Should be more. Another good 25% goes on software. So the antivirus software renewal license that we pay all the time. Any software, management software, hardware, firewalls, etc. We all have to pay for that. Outsourcing 10%. And then this little one down here, consulting, it's only 9%. You all should be spending more on consultants, by the way. You really should. But that 9% also includes security awareness. So you've got 9% of 10% of your IT budget, which is probably in itself a minute percentage of the overall organization's budget. So we're fighting a very hard battle here. But our focus is obviously wrong. Like, we're spending all this money up here, but the problem is not the technology. Well, it is technology, like there's bugs and stuff, but the real problem is the people. So our focus is wrong. We're spending the money in the wrong place, or if we're spending the money in security awareness, we're not getting the value back out from it. If you look back at all those organizations, Google, Adobe, Juniper, ExxonMobil, etc., they're big organizations. They do have security awareness training programs in place. They do have dedicated IT security people, yet they still got breached. So is the money being spent in the wrong place? And if it is being spent in security awareness, is it not being spent properly? I think the problem is, who has been on a security awareness training program? Who's found them really engaging and wonderful and exciting?
They're very entertaining, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And if you take this audience here, we have to go on security awareness training courses for our jobs. But we know what the stuff is, but we have to do the course anyway. And yet we get the same course that probably the person in HR or the person in accounts or the person in sales is going to get. So the content is not aimed at us and we find it boring. I think if we find it boring and we live, eat and drink security and IT, how does the poor person in sales or HR or the admin department feel about this stuff? Oh God, not another bloody course. And IT, I don't really care about. And the other problem is how it's delivered. Like, is it classroom type or lecture type, workshops, or online type scenario, yeah? Videos, yeah. And again, with all due respect to our American friends, probably an Americanized version of the product with American accents and all, you know, Scottish. But you know, the delivery mechanism is probably not the wrong one for that particular audience as well. Or the trainers aren't trained particularly well. I've seen training courses where, security awareness training courses, where the trainers don't know the subject. They're trainers, that's what they do. They work in the training department in the organization. They're trained in HR training courses. They're trained to deliver accounting training courses. They're trained to deliver the health and safety course. And they're trained to deliver the security awareness training course as well. But they don't know. So when somebody asks a question, they're not being answered properly. Or the reverse of that is, you've got us giving the training course. And some of us, while we're very good technically, may not be the best people at talking to users or presenting to users. Some of us some people are, security people are not very good at presenting. Yeah, we don't deliver properly, or we have very monotone voices, and we talk like this, and people just turn off. So the content can be very important. We fail to engage the users, or we miss the mark. So we have issues we want to address, but we don't deliver against them. So the material is not working. Biggest problem I've seen with security awareness courses is that they're a compliance requirement. We must meet PCI. We have to have security awareness. Therefore, let's go and get a security awareness training course in, and let's see what is the cheapest and just get it done. Let's put a tick in the box. Or security awareness training, oh yeah, tell you what, 10-minute presentation during an induction course, that's it. Or let's coerce people to do it. Anybody working in an organization where if you don't do your security awareness training course and it's recorded and you pass the little exam at the end, you don't get your paycheck? Yeah, one or two companies I know, for your end of year annual review where you're going to get your salary increase, if you don't do your security awareness training course, you don't get your salary increase. Now you might think that's a great idea. That's forcing people to do the training course. But all they're doing is just going through it and just clicking the answers, get it done and over and done with. I know one company, and the team in the IT department, as it turns out, they have annual security awareness races where they all sit down together, all start the course together, and whoever finished the course first is the winner. And it's just click, 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 click. They're not absorbing the content, they don't really care. So we have this, let's just get it done and overdone with it. So that, let's be compliant with it. The other issue I found, and that's why I mentioned, was it an American Voice and stuff, is that a lot of these, particularly online training content, is done by US organizations. And it refers to federal law and Sarbanes-Oxley. I'm based in Dublin, Ireland. We don't have a federal state in Ireland. Well, maybe after our economic disaster, we'll be reporting to Berlin quite soon, but it doesn't relate to what we're doing. It doesn't talk about data privacy stuff, which is very important for a lot of our organizations here. But yes, because it's cheap, it ticks the box, we'll take it on board. Or it doesn't, even not take away the law, it doesn't take the cultural issues into account. And if you're working for a large organization that is multinational, that has offices throughout the world, you've got different cultures and different to try and deal with. People in China have different drivers and different culture than people in UK and Ireland. Likewise, even in the US, there are similarities, but there are subtle differences that if you don't tune the content to meet those differences, you can fail to engage with people because of that. And we don't measure. I'm management, and the whole thing is, you can't manage what you can't measure. But it is true. If you're not sort of saying, how successful is this training course? Is it delivering what it's supposed to be delivering? How can you tell how good or bad it is? And then the worst thing is, you've managed to get your budget for your security awareness training course. You've delivered it. You're now going back to management saying, we need to run another one for next year. And the management go, well, why? Prove to us that the money was well spent. And you're going, well, hey look, they all fill in the forms. It doesn't work. Management want to see what value they're getting, and if you can't measure the value or what you're getting back from the course, it's not going to work. But mostly, folks, we just hope it works. We send it out there, and we go, oh please God, let them do it. Let it sink in there in some way, shape or form, and maybe subliminally, next time they get a phishing email, they go, oh yeah, that's what they're talking about. And that's what we wait. So, securing the nut, I think we have to take a much more strategic way with it, right? And anybody familiar with ISO 27000, you're probably familiar with this type: plan, do, check, act type scenario. And people say, yeah, that's a whole lot of rubbish and crap, but it does make sense. If you don't plan what you're doing, if you don't prepare, you're not going to be ready for it. And then implement what you're going to do, put it in place, get it working, measure, review how well that is working. And based on that feedback, maintain it, see if there's anything to improve, and feed that back into your planning again. And this constant cycle where over time and over a period, you should be improving what you're doing. So at the planning stage, you need to make sure you go and get senior management support. And that is not the CEO signing a note that you have written, and then he sends it out to everybody. Thou shalt go on the security awareness training course because it's important. And then they go on the security awareness training course. If they're going to support this, you have to get their commitment, both from giving you the resources you need to do it, and they have to go on the courses too. Like, I know a lot of organizations, management don't go on these training courses. I think that's where it's been, they're not leading by example. How do you expect staff to take the thing seriously if management aren't going to take it seriously? Be prepared. Do your research. What is your audience going to be like? Have you got a young audience? Are you working for an IT company like PayPal or something like that, which is a predominantly younger generation who are familiar with IT, who know the technology, who know the phrases and the terminology? Or have you got people like me who are older and are probably technophobic and the two-finger hand-typing typists who don't know what, can barely spell email, never mind worry about how it all works together. So how is it prepared? What legal issues do you have to think about? What cultural issues do you have to think about? Have you got remote users? How are you going to address the remote users? Do you bring somebody in for one day, somebody in the Outer Hebrides who's the remote user? You have to come into the London office for your security awareness training course. It's a bit of a waste. Our teleworkers, how do you get them in as well? So you need to be prepared of what's going on. Develop a strategy to figure out how am I going to get this delivered out to meet the requirements that we've just identified. So if you've got people who are remote workers and teleworkers in different jurisdictions and different cultural backgrounds, or different scenarios, how are we going to deliver it? Should we develop courses and the content specific for the different type of audience? So if you're going to give a security awareness training course to the IT people, well, at least treat them with the respect that they know what IT stands for, and develop the course for that. If you're going to talk to somebody at HR, take into account that they may not be as IT savvy, and adjust the course accordingly as well. Make sure you've got budget. I know that's very, very tough, but make sure you've got plenty of budget. And it's a dedicated make sure it's a dedicated budget and you've got plenty of money. Because you're going to need to deliver this properly. Any job, like any job, it has to be done properly. You need the resources to do it. And ideally, it should be a set budget each year. That's not just whatever's left over from the IT security spend, we put that into the security awareness campaign. Have it as a set item in your annual budget agenda that you can have it first. And then select the appropriate tools. Make sure you have the right thing to do the right job. If you've got remote users, make sure you've got that in place. Are you going to deliver it in a classroom style? And if you have a classroom style, how are you going to get people into the room? How many people per time are you going to do it? Have you got the trainers trained properly? Are they able to deliver the content? Do they know the content, and can they support the issues that are there? I said earlier on, consider the different cultures. Again, if you've got different jurisdictions, they have different laws. So if you've got people based in Europe, and people based in Australia, and people based in Canada and the US, well, for example, there's different privacy laws and regulations in each of those jurisdictions. Make sure you take them into account for what's been delivered. And try and take into account the cultural, the society that they come from, and what issues they may have there as well. I always try and make sure we hook the audience. If you don't give a hook that the people are going to hang on to and engage with, well, you're going to fail. So often when I'm giving the training courses, I go, okay, you're here because you're supposed to be here. But what you're going to learn here will save your computers at home. The security awareness training you get here will keep your PCs safe at home. Or try and figure out what is the consequence of security breach for the organization. They may not care about corporate data getting lost, but try and see what's that mean in real terms to them. I was given a training course to a security company that does a lot of cash in transit. And reviewing the course, I could see that people weren't engaged until they didn't understand what the impact of a breach could be. But when he told them that a potential breach could have information in the hands of criminals who could then ambush a cash van and their colleagues could be in harm's way, well, that put a completely different context onto the security of the information. And they're able to understand then this is why it's so important. Trying to talk about data and information in abstract terms is not going to hook the audience. We need to try and make sure they understand what the impact of a breach could be onto them or onto the organization itself. make sure you've got regular communication going through as well. And that can be post the course, you've got feedback forms from staff, feedback forms from the staff management when they've come back from the course. Or we try and help and you get the organisation's internal structures to help you. If you're working for a large organisation, you've got a HR department. They're supposed to be good with humans. It's in the title. Sales and marketing. They're supposed to be good at marketing. PR and public relations. Engage with them and see how can you use them to promote your security awareness program and sell it to the humans in the organisation. So once they're all, you've got that expertise on board, you can help push it out. And maybe you constantly continually reinforce the message, because somebody coming to a security awareness training course today may not remember what you were talking about 6 months down the road. So reinforce the message, potentially by using posters or the usual gimmicks around the place, but they can work if they're done properly. So make sure your communication strategy takes all that into account as well. So we talk about some, and give the feedback to the users, and also make sure you're adaptable to new threats or new issues should they arise, and that you can bring that out and communicate that out to the users in a quick and effective manner. Review and measure how effective your program is. Right now, that's the best I can do without a mankini, okay? But if you don't measure how effective your program is, as I said earlier on, you can't manage it. So how effective is it, and how do you measure how effective it is? See what impact that has had maybe on the number of issues reported to your support desk after the security awareness training course. And you may be surprised, you're probably going to get an increase in password resets, because people do go and use complex passwords, but they then forget about them. Or they might you might have a sudden increase in incidents because people are now reporting things they're more aware about. And they're good things you can use to measure how effective your program is and see has there been any impact on your information security, and then alter it accordingly. Take the information and then feed it back in. If it's not been effective, try and fix what the problem is. Maintain your program. It's like a machine. If you don't keep that machine well oiled, it's going to fail and you're not going to be able to do what you should. I think the important thing is, coming back to the beginning of the slide, is remember that more security, more technology doesn't make you more secure. Technology can help, but at the end of the day, we need to make sure people are aware and people understand the impact and issues, what they might do. So with that, thank you very much. If anybody wants any questions, I'm happy to take them, or you can contact me. Any questions? Yeah.
Did we say that user education is an issue for today, but possibly not for 20 years from now, when the generation that's being born today already understands technology and IT and all that?
I think the generation born today will understand technology and generation better than we have done, but I do think they may not understand security. They may understand technology, not security. And I've seen this in the way, if you look at the way people use Facebook and Twitter, and how much personal information they leak into Facebook and Twitter because, hey, the whole world needs to know about me. That's not necessarily a good thing in the long term. So I think we will always need to make people aware of what the issues are. And I think over the next 20 years, we do need to adjust the content and how we deliver to make sure that we deal with that. So I don't think we're ever going to get rid of it. It'll always be there. Any other questions?
Not so much reflection, more reframe what you were saying before. We had when we had IE6 on our network for a long time, some applications that only supported in that version. We went to version 8. We had a large number of users phone help desk and say, I can't go into the site anymore. Why? There's a massive red box on the screen that says the certificate's not valid. And just that particular bit made them all suddenly go, oh, this is wrong. And they said, don't it never happened before. So, well, yeah, it did. You just click yes to the tiny little box that appeared at the end of the screen. So making those things more obvious and actually putting it right.
And that's a very good point. I think if you look at a lot of, and Microsoft have changed it in the past few versions of a lot of the software they do, but by default, the focus used to be on the yes button for all these questions. So people just hit enter and they don't even read the message.
There, so.
Yeah, and like you know, there's a more broader thing, but do you think we need to design our software interfaces much better so that the messages that the user gets are more in their face, for want of a better phrase, and that they're not as easy to, and we use language to understand. Yeah.
It's the classic social engineering. You send the SE attack in and with a note explaining that they'll get a warning, and this is how they get around the warning so that they can run the thing that
Yeah.
they sent them. Okay.
Exactly. No,
It's doing what he said it would do.
yeah, does what it says in the tin. Yeah. Steve, sorry, your question?
Just with the ease of getting fake certificates and the fact that letter is never a real warning, why is that a useful alert? I mean, when has anyone ever actually stopped being hacked by that alert popping up? Every single time that showed us a fault alert means a dev team involved to get a certificate from us for that.
And how many people actually examine the certificate?
Yeah, but every single time, because if you're an attacker, you just get a certificate that works, right? Why would you bother with a fake one?
Yeah, but
Just
it's one
always
way that
involved.
this was legitimate site, so we didn't have the certificate for it, but it did actually stop them clicking on it, and they don't understand why should they.
So you annoyed the users for no additional security. Hooray! You're done.
Well, so every time a company was
Yeah,
trying to do that,
but you know, the infrastructure we built this time and effort building and training people to do, training them to do, this is an alert that's a lot.
Okay, well, thank you everybody.